Hey everybody, welcome back to Whiskey Central. If you're new here, my name is Shayla, and today we're reviewing Woodford Reserve Double Oaked. But before we get into the video, I just wanted to give a quick shout out. I just did a kind of collaboration with Cocktail Hammer, so I'll put their link in the description box below to an article that we kind of did together. They also have tons of cocktail recipes, and they're a pretty cool website, so go check them out. In 1912, the Pepper family moved here, and in 1838, Oscar Pepper and his family built the distillery. James E. Pepper sold the distillery to LeBrow and Graham, who ran it until Prohibition. In 1941, Brown-Forman bought the company, and they sold it to a local farmer in 1973. Then, when bourbon started picking back up again, they repurchased the distillery in 1993. And in 1995, Woodford was given historic landmark status. Alright, so let's get into the details of this whiskey. Woodford Reserve Double Oaked was released February of 2012. It'll run you about $45. It's owned by Brown-Forman, and it's located in Versailles, Kentucky. This is a non-age stated whiskey. They say it's around 6 to 7 years old, and it's put in a second barrel for 6 to 12 months. My bottle is 43.2% ABV. I think in the States it's 45.2%, so a couple percentage points higher. The mash bill is 72% corn, 18% rye, and 10% malted barley. It's aged in new charred oak barrels, and then it's double oaked in a second deeply toasted and lightly charred barrel. It's also non-colored and non-chill filtered. Alright, well, I'm going to pour a dram of this, let it sit for about 10 minutes, and I'll be right back.
A few moments later.
Alright guys, I've let this open up for about 10 minutes. Let's go in for a nose. Oh man, so first thing I get as a sensation is super sweet. There's actually a little bit of salt on here as well, which I don't normally get. And then there's a ton of fruit, like baked apples, a little bit of cherry. There's some orange in there as well. Kind of those typical like fruit bourbon notes. And then I get that typical like Brown-Forman banana note. It's kind of like banana flambe or something like that. And then I get some vanilla bean, a little bit of oatmeal, brown sugar, maple syrup, like just a ton of sweetness. And then that sweetness is kind of balanced out. There's a little bit of that baking spice like clove, cinnamon, nutmeg. And then I also get some rye spice as well, maybe a little bit of fennel kind of thing. Alright, let's go on the palate. Cheers, guys. So, you get that caramel. Actually, quite a bit of oak on the palate. A little bit of that cherry kind of fruitiness as well. Yeah, it's kind of sweet up front. Get a little bit of rye spice and that baking spice mid-palate. A little bit of that oak on the back of the palate. It's a little bit drying, a little bit of a drying oak. Let's go for another sip. Cheers, guys. Yeah, I think it's because it's non-chill filtered. That texture on the palate, it's only 86 proof, 86, 87 proof, but it's got a really good texture, mouthfeel. I would say it's pretty well balanced. You have that caramel sweetness, brown sugar sweetness, but then you have a little bit of that oak, a little bit of rye spice to kind of pull it back a little bit. I would say it's lower complexity, probably a short to medium finish. The nice thing about this is it doesn't really have to be complex though. I mean, it's just yummy, flavorful, kind of bold flavors, and I would drink this every day. So I'm going to finish this dram up, and I'll be right back with my recommendation. This is a great bourbon, nice and rich. It's not overly complex, but it tastes friggin' awesome. So I love this. I would get it again for $45, or I think it's like $45, $50. That's like a little bit steep, but the flavor that you get on it, I think it's worth it. If you like this, you probably would like Old Forester. I think it's the 1910 version, which is kind of like a double-barreled version. This uses Old Forester column distillate, so you're going to get Old Forester column distillate in the Old Forester 1910, so very similar to this, I would imagine. Haven't tasted it yet, but... And then also, if you like this, it has a deeply toasted barrel, and it's also lightly charred, but you might like something like an Elijah Craig or a Michter's toasted barrel. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Whiskey Central. Next week, I'll be reviewing something that my patrons vote on. I bought 3 bottles that they kind of voted on for me to buy. They haven't gotten here yet, though, so if those don't get here, I'll be doing a Dewar's comparison with the Dewar's White Label and the Dewar's White Label from the 1970s, 1980s. And if not, it'll be one of the 3 that the patrons vote on. So if you don't want to miss out, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, leave it a like. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bad. It's just so bad, guys. Okay, it's fine. Sugar! Gosh darn dog. 1941, Brown-Forman bought the distillery. God damn it. Okay. Okay. That was terrible. Let's do it again. Ugh. Damn it. Shit. Yeah, super delicious. I don't think I've had the Old Forester 1910. I may have had it in a blind once, but I think that's going to be very similar to this. I'd be super interested to try a comparison between the 1910 and the double oaked. I think they're going to be very similar. And I think they're about the same proof. I think 1910 is like 90 proof and this is 86 proof. Up in the States, this is 90 proof, so it'll be a kind of an interesting comparison, I think, but I think those 2 would be great. And then I don't know, I've had some toasted barrels that I liked, so I think I've had the Michter's and the Elijah Craig toasted barrel, so if you like, a little bit of toasted barrel action, those would probably be a couple of good ones if you like this. But yeah, great bourbon. Love it. I think I enjoy it a lot more than the Woodford just regular. It's tasty stuff. So 700 milliliters, so that's just for me, though. It might be 750 where you guys are at, which is an even better deal. But yeah, I think this is kind of one you always have to have on your shelf. It's super delicious. Damn. I mean, the longer you let that sit, the more just like maple syrup, brown sugar, caramel, just so good.